Hey everybody, this is Harry, grumpy old man, one of the grumpy old men on film to talk about this month's pick. It's a Wonderful Life from 1946 with Jimmy Stewart and Donna Reed, Thomas Mitchell and Lionel Barrymore, and Ward Bond, my favorite. You watch a lot of movies between the 30s and 40s and even maybe some in the 20s. You see Ward Bond pop up in like practically everything. It seems like it, anyways. So, a film from 1946, directed by Frank Capra, of course. It is one of my favorite. It's my favorite Christmas movie of all time. It's I watch it every year. Sometimes I watch it 2 times a year. I haven't watched it yet this year. Fixing to probably today. Gonna watch it. Um, but I do want to give a review on it because most people know the film, and if you watch the Grumpy Yellow Men, uh, Jay and um, Jay and Bob have already Jay and Silent Bob have already talked about it. I'm not sure about Ian, but but I remember this becoming my favorite Christmas movie in the early '80s. Yeah, as you know, this film is in the public domain, and the first time I seen it was on PBS, and it was an unedited version of the film because PBS is a public television station. They had no commercials, so it was the first time I've watched a movie without any commercials. So I got lucky in that respect to watch the whole thing unedited. Usually, when they put these things on regular TV with commercials, they always edit out a scene or cut it short because of commercials. So you always missed some part of the movie. And I recorded it, not on VHS, but I recorded it on audio as well. I used to have a tape recorder, and I used to record a lot of stuff. And like the Three Stooges and stuff, I've recorded them on audio tape. History of the World, Mel Brooks movie, I recorded the whole thing on audio tape. I did the same thing with this. And I would play it back and listen to the dialogue. It was sort of like listening to old-time radio. And then I got a VHS and then was able to copy it years later, which was not on PBS. It was on regular TV, and that's how I knew scenes were missing because I watched it originally and it didn't follow the dialogue. Um, it is a sad film, and I kind of been in George Bailey's shoes somewhat, where I felt like I wasn't well. I wish I had not been born. That things might have been different for people. You go through those depressing stages. This year has been like that for me, off and on, being depressed, being because of health reasons and retiring from work and stuff like that. And you figure, life. You'd be better off not being here, not even being born. What was my parents thinking? I know what they were thinking, but it's a movie that hits me really hard, and I can watch it still to this day and get the same feels as I did, or feelings for it as I did back in the early '80s when I first watched it. It's Jimmy Stewart's performance in this film is wonderful. It's I think a very underrated. Probably one of his best roles ever. If you had seen him, if you just seen the part where he's on the bridge and he's crying and saying he wished he wasn't born, and, he was at the end of his rope, that performance alone uh, would make anybody say that was the best scene that Jimmy Stewart was a great actor. I mean, he's done great films before. His scenes in Mr. Smith Goes to Washington, uh, where he's doing the filibuster scene, is a great scene as well. When he shows passion, tear. I mean, you really felt bad for him in this film. And he goes home, and his daughter's sick. Zazu's sick, and he loses cool. Uh, and he's tearing up and he's crying. And then he finds out she got sick because she came home from school because of the not being dressed properly, and gets in a fight on the phone with the teacher. I've been in that position before where I got mad because, what's up with, the school sending him back home and not making sure their jacket zipped up or whatever. But there was so much pressure on him, and I felt that pressure, most of my life, since my first wife passed away. So a lot of this film, like I said, is I take it personal, and I see a lot in it. I haven't tried to bump myself off, but jumping off a bridge, whatever. I have jumped off a bridge before when I was younger. Stupidity, but hey, things you do when you're young. Henry Travers as Clarence. Yep. One of the good old boys driving by. Henry Travers is Clarence, even though he's not much in the film in the very beginning. The Milky Way, the stars talking to each other, and then narrating through it out, and then he's in the last 30 minutes or so of the film. It's great. It's a great performance. I mean, you couldn't believe Clarence was the bright side of this whole movie. Donna Reed was beautiful. Great performance. As Mary, I always love the scene where they're coming home from the school dance, the prom, and because they had fallen into the pool, and they're he's dressed in a small football outfit, and she just has a robe on, and then she hides, ducks into the bushes, and then he accidentally steps on her robe, and everything comes off. You don't see anything that she's hiding in the bushes. That is so funny. It is a funny scene, and it's so charming. You just wish things went well for George Bailey in this film. And you wanted to smack the shit out of Mr. Potter, Lionel Barrymore's character. Curmudgeon, cheat bastard he was. One of my favorite villains in the film is Mr. Potter. Matter of fact, I still remember to this day watching when President Obama became president, and they were wheeling Dick Cheney out to his car after the inauguration. The first thing came to my mind was Mr. Potter. I don't know. It just looked like it. But anyways, I'm just kind of rambling here because mostly everybody knows what this film's about. And but how personally to me this film has affected me just watching it over the years. I still enjoy it to this day, even though I know it from front to back. I hate the colored version of the film, the colorized. I hate any colorization of black and white film, classic films. I saw one with Suspicion from Cary Grant that was done. It was so bad, the colors were bleeding. Terrible idea to colorize. These movies were made for black and white, and the lighting and the shadows and stuff like that, and it wasn't meant for colorization. So now everybody's going color happy now. Taking old photographs and colorizing them, and I think it looks good because now it's done computer, but movies are not that way. They're not meant to be colorized. If they were meant to be colorized, they would have made it in color film. They had color film back then. They just didn't use it. It was very expensive. And I'm just like jumping all over the place. And I'm at 10 minutes. But anyways, this is a great film. You need to watch it if you haven't watched it. Some people can't stand it because they say it's so depressing, but that's what makes this film a great film. It is a wonderful life. Take care.